What is it? Hello, welcome to the Persecution Report, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the truth behind the current incidents in Bangladesh. I'm Dr. Bidit Day. In today's episode, we delve into an urgent and poignant issue: the ongoing attacks on Bangladesh's rich cultural heritage. Culture is often described as an invisible thread that weaves communities together, shaping their identity and sense of belonging. For Bangladesh, this thread is vibrant and strong, woven from the thousands of years of history, traditions, and shared experiences. From the intricate customs and lively festivals and the beautiful artifacts and soul-stirring songs, the essence of Bangladesh comes alive. For generations, the people living in this lush delta have cultivated a cultural tapestry that is not only rich and diverse, but also inclusive and pluralistic. As Bangladeshis, we take pride in celebrating our diversity while fostering unity and fraternity among all. Stay with us as we explore the depths of our cultural heritage and the threats that it's currently facing, reminding ourselves of the importance of preserving what makes us uniquely Bengali. In Bangladesh, there have been reports of attacks on cultural sites, particularly targeting indigenous communities and religious minorities, following protests and violence in August July 2024. These attacks include violent clashes, arson, and vandalism against homes, places of worship, and individuals. Aftermath of July and August, furthermore, we also have noticed persistent covert and overt attacks on secular and plural Bengali cultural heritage and identity. To discuss this issue, we have a panel of experts today. We have Mr. Tonoy Imroj Alam, member of editorial board BD Digest. We have Mr. Saifur Rahman, Global Justice Network Foundation, and Dr. Rahan Jamil, Center for Bangladesh Genocide Research. So first of all, I would like to ask my esteemed panel members about what it makes to be a Bengali. What is the very essence of our cultural identity? May I ask Mr. Alam to make a start with the discussion, please?
Thank you, Peter. To me, and to most of us, being Bengali is not just speaking the language or living on the land. It's a way of life. It's a spirit, the way we think, and the way we connect with one another. Our culture is full of life, color, music, and stories, folklores, and we carry that pride wherever we go. In any part of the world, if there is a Bengali, the culture exists. We live in a community. We come from a rich heritage that blends art, poetry, food, and faith. Our culture teaches us to embrace differences and live with tolerance and harmony. Food is at the heart of our lives, of our culture. A plate of mustard and hilsha, or a biryani, or a sweet yogurt in Bengali style, or a fuchka isn't just a meal to us. It's a memory, it's a tradition, and the way to show love to each other. We never eat alone, we share food. This is how we build bonds with foods, by sharing it. Across generations and communities, we bear these stories of our culture. We believe in each other. We support our neighbors. We care for our friends and treat community like our family, whether In joy or in struggle, we stand together. We have proven it has been proven time to time through our struggles. To be Bengali is to feel deeply, live passionately, and having compassion and act boldly. It means having warm hearts, open minds, and the courage to dream and to fight for those dreams side by side as a community, as a nation. That is my view of Bengali culture and being Bengali.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. That speaks a volume. I mean, you have mentioned about food. You have mentioned about the sense of belonging, the sense of community, which kind of define the way we live, the way not only just we live today. It's a history. We have a historical legacy of almost thousands of years. Now, on this particular issue, may I ask Mr. Rahman to say that how the Bengali culture has evolved and where we stand now and how we have inherited it through the cultivation of these practices over generations.
Well, thank you, Bidit, for inviting me to the show. Bengali culture is not a new culture. The culture has been evolved for many thousand years, uh, but it has evolved over time. It has mixed up with geographical culture. It has mixed up with some religious culture that has kind of came from different part of the world over time. It has evolved, but at the end of the day, we have built a culture which has a very good harmony where we stand side by side. It has evolved. It was never specific to any particular religion, nor never specific to any particular caste or sect. It was very humanitarian culture that we have kind of inherited from our ancestors. But over the time, now we see it's kind of being driven towards different direction, which is very much contradictory to core value of our Bengali culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rahman. That's again very helpful and very insightful. Now, may I come to Mr. Jamil, Dr. Jamil, about the way the culture is built. I mean, we have been talking about the historical legacy. We have been talking about the generational issues, and also the fact that it has got this rich tapestry of diversity, which of different communities have co-created this cultural identity together. So, Dr. Jamil, but would you please also elaborate on what would be the building blocks of Bengali culture?
Thank you, Dr. Day, and thank you everyone for having me on the show. It is a pleasure to be here. The importance of culture cannot be highlighted more, specifically in current times when we see a huge attack on culture, that is Bangladesh in broad terms. Before going into talking about what impacts it has, I think a good way of talking about it would be to understand the concept of culture itself. You have kind of touched upon it. It's a shared meaning making process. So if we define and think of culture as shared meaning making, then many things that we're going to discuss here or at other places would make more sense. Like Saifur talked about, and then Tonoy talked about, our notion of culture in terms of being Bangladeshi and Bengali has a long and rich history. And we have always been a pluralistic one. And even if we think of Islam as the main religion in Bangladesh, which influences our cultural practices, the shared practices, we have to remember that what branch of religion we are following, right? Islam was brought to this land by the Sufis. So Sufism is a big part of what we practice. and it was never about dominating one over the other. So if we have that in mind, then we see all these different scenarios that are taking place is trying to actually disrupt our shared practices of mutual coexistence. And that, I believe, as we get more into our discussion today, would make more sense of it.
Thanks. I'll ask a follow-up question on that. And both Mr. Rahman and Dr. Jamil, both of you have alluded to the recent attacks. And why do you think that this attack is on culture? Because it was meant to be a sort of a movement triggered by students and therefore demands for equal rights to jobs. But why is it morphing into some sort of anti-Bengali demonstrations and attacks and violences? Dr. Jamil, you may start first, please.
Okay. I think what we need to think in terms of this is the ulterior motive of the people who are trying to disrupt what is fundamentally Bengali. And again, it might sound a bit hegemonistic to say what is Bengali, but we have to keep in mind that using the term Bengali is in a broad sense. We have not only cultural or religious or other minorities in Bangladesh who have always been free to do and participate in their own beliefs and practices. But the thing is, the ulterior motive here is to pit everything, is to frame everything as if all of these are opposed to Islam or Muslims in general. The ulterior motive then comes into play that if we can pit everything against Islam versus that, then the notion of making or the process of making an Islamist state, a fundamentalist state, becomes easier to achieve. In my opinion, that is the goal of the people who started doing it in the name of equity and equivalency for student rights or people's rights was just a cover, a sham. And now we can see evidence of that from their own mouthpieces.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamil.
If you look into Bangladeshi culture very deeply, what you'll find is that pluralism, equality, and tolerance and secularism, these are the central tenet of Bengali culture. But the politics we are seeing now in Bangladesh, this is politics of hate. This is the politics of us and them. This is the politics of ruining a country. And we are seeing politics of religion, fundamentalism, Islamism. I am not saying that Muhammad Yunus is an Islamist. I'm not saying that. Muhammad Yunus is more serious than that. Muhammad Yunus and the people are using Islamists to secure their power. And to do so, they're appeasing the demands of the Islamists. And as we know, the Islamists have a tendency of downgrading other cultures. To them, it's not pluralistic. It is just one way, which is, you have to go back. The Islam we have in Bangladesh, that is not valid to them because Bangladesh has an Islam which is very mystic. Bangladesh basically had a Sufi Islam, and what we have seen after 1975, after the killing of father of our nation, Bangladesh Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and during 1980s, Western powers, I'm going to say it bluntly as it is, let's call a spade a spade. Western power and some other countries with petrodollar, they introduced a different form of Islam into our country, into our fabric. They tried to. They introduced
Mr. Lalon, can you just can I just
Islamic
add
school.
one point here? Maybe it will be easier for our listeners and viewers to link what you're trying to say. Is that the very birth of Bangladesh, the inception of Bangladesh was characterized by secularism and progressive ethos. And when we saw the political changes that initiated after 1975, the tragic event of 1975, we continuously noticed that Bangladesh was pushed away from those foundational principles. And that is also kind of contradictory with what we mean and what we feel by being Bengali. And that's why they always wanted to attack being Bengali and the cultural practices that define our identity. Are you saying that as well? Would you agree with that?
I'm saying that as well, but here my point is slightly different. Slightly different in a sense that in Bangladesh we have 4 or 5% very fundamentalist and extremist people. That's their vote share, 4 or 5%. But a 5% of a country where population is 180 million is quite a significant number, and these 5% they can cause violence in the country. They can cause turbulence and violence. What happened right? What happened in 1980s? These 4 or 5% people were empowered by the state and by the foreign powers, and after Sheikh Hasina came to power, Awami League came to power, secularism got the center stage again. For 15 years, there were conspiracy. We have seen turbulence time to time. What we are seeing this time again, that a government that has no mandate from the people to hang on to power, they are using these forces again. That's exactly what's happening, and these are the people. In exchange, they're attacking our culture.
Thank
And
you
the
very
people
much.
who are involved in culture, as
Yeah.
our singers, mystic people, the people who has a different point of views, they are attacked.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alam. Now, we would like to get to see some of the evidence. Mr. Rahman, could you please take us through some of the news items that we have to share with our viewers?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bidit. Since August 5th, 2024, Bangladesh has witnessed a wave of disturbing events that strike at a very soul of our nation. Artists, our storytellers, our visionaries have been charged with murder in questionable and politically charged cases. Cultural festivals have been silenced. Museums, the guardians of our heritage, have been attacked and vandalized by jihadist groups who seek to replace creativity with fear. Here, I can mention some of those events. In in November last year, the Director General of the Shilpakala Academy in Dhaka himself shut down a play during its performance, expressing concern that an agitated crowd might set it on fire. He also mentioned that 22 branches of Shilpakala Academy across the country have come under attack in near time. So I would like to mention that it started right after Sheikh Hasina left the country. Mob started this by attacking the Ganabhavan and Parliament building. On 7th August, miscreants vandalized part of the Madhusudan De Smriti sculptures in front of Madhu's canteen on the on the Dhaka University campus. These miscreants also vandalized Sharinata Sangram Bhaskarya on Fuller Road, and till today it is going on. This is not just an attack on individuals or institutions, it is an assault on freedom itself. When the brush is broken, when the stage is burned, when words are weaponized, a nation begins to lose its voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And one thing I have to mention here is that Madhusudhan De's sculpture or Shadhinata Stambha sculpture, these are inextricably connected with our 1971 history, our history of independence, the genocide that that took place during the course of our liberation war, and which actually for which we take a lot of pride. And being Bengali is so deeply connected with our struggle for independence. So on that point, may I first request Dr. Jamil to just elaborate on these attacks on this cultural heritage and these sculptures, how these can be a sort of a symbol of destroying 1971 history.
Thank you. And I think that is kind of core to what is happening in Bangladesh right now, and core of what we really need to think about. Like I said in my previous part segment, that the idea is about the ulterior motive. What is the ulterior motive? Is either to marginalize 1971, our biggest glorified part of our history, our war of independence, or to make it so minimal or equal to what has happened last year. Now, last year, what has happened? In the name of a student movement, a group of terrorists removed the democratically elected government of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Now, for the sake of argument, if we say that, okay, it was a bad government and the people wanted a change, okay, it was not done democratically, it was not done peacefully. But if a government was removed for, let's say, being unfair, whatever it may be, corrupt, that does not make it equal to our achievement of 1971. And this is fundamentally what the people are trying to do now. And by the people, I don't mean everyone, just a certain group of people led by Islamic terrorists like Jamaat-e-Islami, and sadly, an economist as their spokesperson and main advisor. Right? So that is not only ignorance, that is willful.
You mean Muhammad Yunus?
Yes, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, right? And he, as an economist, he had the opportunity and support for a huge group of people in Bangladesh, right? We all were hopeful that, okay, maybe as an economist, as a world-known person, he's going to bring so much positive changes to our country, right? We were very hopeful about it. But what we have been seeing is the complete opposite. This is not only ignorance, this is willful ignorance. Systematically, we have to keep in mind, systematically, 1971 War of Independence has been marginalized, is being marginalized as we speak, and replacing with what? A terrorist movement of 2024. That cannot be happening. We're trying to equate 71 with 2024. That's not ignorance, that's willful ignorance. And that is a planned, a systematic planning of marginalization of our pride. Many other examples are there. I'm sure other speakers are going to talk about it. Think of renaming all our national monuments, national symbols, freedom fighters, disgracing their graves even, right? These are just some ways of how we're trying to destroy the fabric of our culture of being a Bengali.
So it is like tyranny of ignorance, a collective ignorance that is leading to this position. On that note,
Mr. B, please,
yes,
may I
please.
add something here
Sure.
before you go to the next
Of
topic?
course, please.
We have already seen in one of the interview, Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus, he responded in with by or to a question from a journalist in United States. when he was asked, "What have you done when the Dhanmondi 32 was burnt down?" And he very proudly said, "Haven't you noticed? A student has pressed a reset button. That means the past has gone." So he was patronizing that from the very beginning.
Absolutely, and we had that was a very significant statement. I don't know if he said it deliberately or it is a slip of tongue. I cannot say it's a slip of tongue. It was a deliberate mention about the reset button, and we can see, um, all these evidence supporting that actually this regime is trying to reset the history and the identity of the country or and its population. And one
Dr.
thing that
Uday,
we,
I'm
yes,
sorry
please.
to interrupt, but I think that's kind of our ignorance as well, or perhaps our liberalism at play when we say that perhaps we do not know if it was deliberate. There's nothing that is not deliberate in what this person or his regime is doing. He has himself proclaimed in a global stage that all of this has been meticulously planned. His words, right? Not ours. For a meticulously planned takeover, a terroristic event like this cannot be an oversight on him. And for people in his position to say that, oh, it was a slip of tongue, or like the current trend is, he said from his personal standpoint and not from his designation as part of the government, this cannot suffice. And we cannot let these things pass.
So one point, we
What
always.
we see,
So
what
sorry,
we
Mr.
see, what we
Yes.
see in July 24, that people from many corner of the country, they came and joined the movement because of a disinformation campaign by social media, disinformation campaign from abroad. We have seen use of bots on social media to disinform people. That we are now seeing the facts. We are now seeing how foreign money was involved. And now we know about this meticulous design. But when we talk about people from many different corners, that doesn't include those fundamentalists, those intolerant people. They were part of the meticulous design. They were part of it before. And through this government, they're empowered. They're empowered. They want to erase 1971 and our culture because they do not want people to sing. They do not want people to go to theater. They do not want cinema. They do not want culture. This is the whole
On
world
that,
knows it. You go to Afghanistan, you'll see it. That's what Taliban does.
on that note, Mr. Alam,
That's what
I mean,
ISIS did in
may I
Syria.
may I add that arguably the three biggest literary talents this land has ever produced are Tagore, Nazrul Islam, and Lalon, and we have noticed that. That there has been attacks or there has been some persecution or some prevention of Lalon events lately. Can someone please elaborate on this? Mr. Alam, you can go.
Many, as say Tagore, Nazrul Islam, and Lalon, are three of our best uh, literature talent, okay, we ever produced. To me, Lalon is totally unique. No one is even close to Lalon. Lalon is a mystic poet emerged from the people, and through his Lalon is not just a writer or a poet. Lalon is a mystic philosopher. He taught us humanity. Lalon is cornerstone of Bengali culture. Like this is beyond my imagination. Look at these people. What they do, they actually sing for humanity. They go door to door, beg to people, they will sing a song, and in return, they do not want money from you. They want this little handful of rice, a piece of eggplant, a piece of fish, And in return, they will sing you humanity, a song of humanity. Can you imagine you can have an issue with them? You have to be totally evil to have an issue with these people. No one ever had in our history that the Lalon practitioner did something wrong, did something criminal. We have seen bowels beaten, crying with their little aktara, the guitar-like musical instrument, the bleeding and the singing for humanity.
And if I may add to Mr. Alam on this, what I started off by saying that all of this, the ulterior motive has been to pit everything that is pluralistic and liberalism in Bangladesh against the version of Islam or being Muslim, and by addition, about anti-Pakistan. And this is not an emotional statement. We have evidence to prove this. The benefit of this is the moment you can stand or make Lalon, someone like a spiritual leader like him, anti-Islam, then it's easier to say we should get rid of everything that is Lalon. If we say everything that is nationalistic for Bangladesh, our national monuments, our 1952 Shohid Minar, if we can make them that these are anti-Islam, it will be easier for us to get rid of them. This is
And
something
that's exactly what Yunus regime is doing.
exactly.
Look who he goes to. Okay, he is pictured with top terrorists in the country.
And recently, Mr. Mahmudur Rahman, the former editor of Amar Desh, made some derogatory comments in a public gathering, and he was given the Ekushe Padok. He was actually felicitated by the government. So it's not like just they're keeping a blind eye to all these atrocities. They're actively patronizing some of the very radical elements within the political spectrum. Do you agree with that?
Empowering them. They're empowering them to stay in power because they do not have. Okay, here is the one thing. Yunus do not have mandate in Bangladesh, people's mandate. His King's Party, we have seen when his King's Party are holding rallies, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. Maximum, they had 500 people we have seen this week. Out of that 500 people, it has been exposed that they were hired, those people, to come to the rally. And when a political party in Bangladesh, Awami League or BNP, holds a rally, there will be hundreds of thousands of people. This is the comparison. So Yunus, he doesn't have mandate or he doesn't have people. What he is doing, he is using this 5% radical element of the society that, okay, all right, you are my people. In return, this 5% of the people, this 5%, we would say, we have to say that in Bangladesh, Awami League and BNP, the main political parties, they do not share power with these radicals, not in the real sense. These radical people, they never had power in Bangladesh, the state power actual. Right now, first time in our history, through Yunus and his evil ambition, they have state power. With this state power, we before seen turbulences in our country, but since now they have state power, they are attacking the minorities. They're attacking Hindu people.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Lalon. We can see that it's grim, it's very concerning, but at the same time, it's not about just the artifacts, sculptures, music. It's about the very people who are the artists, the cultural activists. They are also under threat. And we have received a lot of reports of these cultural activists being persecuted, being subject to dubious cases, being subject to mob violence. Um, Mr. Rahman, do you have some information to share with us on this, please?
Before going to Mr. Rahman, I'd like to quickly add a couple of things, Dr. Day, if I may. Just like Mr. Alam pointed out, we have to remember that Dr. Muhammad Yunus is not an elected official. He's a selected official, and he has no basically right of doing what he has been doing. Also, he has no basic decency in terms of our cultural practices, which this podcast is about. What do I mean by that? If you look at our subcontinental or religious practices, right, whether India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all the Arab countries, a sign of respect is to take off your shoes when you're visiting a good, a respected place. On December 14, 2024, which is our Martyred Intellectuals Day, even the president of the country went to pay homage and respect to the monument of our martyrs with bare feet. What did Dr. Yunus do? He went to the same monument, a place of secrecy and deep respect in the hearts of all people, wearing his shoes. Right? These are not random stuff. Right? And one thing we have to remember, Dr. Muhammad Yunus is a convicted criminal in Bangladesh's highest court. Right? He's a convicted criminal, not an ongoing case. Right? So if we keep this in perspective in mind, we have to remember that what is happening, what he has been doing, the nonsense he has been talking about is just that.
And apparently, one of the advisors, student advisors, said that the military chief was not very much in favor of supporting Dr. Yunus as the chief advisor because of his criminal record. And that's we should always remember, and I agree with you, Dr. Jamil, that there is a big concerning point there, which sadly, again, tyranny of ignorance, people are not paying attention to. But thanks, Dr. Jamil, for raising a very valid and important point. Over to you, Mr. Rahman, about the persecution of cultural activists.
Yeah, thank you. Before I go on that point, I would also would like to add some on what Jamil said. Basically, what we have seen yesterday, a rally was organized by a very Islamist extreme group of people called Hifazat Islam, where they named the women with very offensive words, which is kind of direct threat to our women empowerment and women and the new generation as well. I see that as a threat. So those rally are being allowed by the government, and in that rally, one of the so-called student leader was present on the stage. In front of him, those words could be uttered. That's very alarming for our women, I would say. And there was no kind of statement issued from those student party that has been formed under like supervision, or I would say all the facilities, getting all the facilities from the government itself. So there is an issue. But anyway, thank you. I will go through some of the events that we have kind of observed very recently. I would like to say here, like, we have seen 201 individuals have been falsely accused, including some of our most respected artists, Mr. Mamunur Rashid and Chanchal Chaudhary, and like Meraz Afroz Shaun. These names are not just those of actors, they are culture icons, storytellers, educators, and inspiration to millions. The allegations levied against them lack clear evidence and raise serious concerns about the motives behind these charges. The targeting does not stop at baseless accusations only. Actor Siddiqur Rahman was reportedly beaten and forcibly taken by law enforcement authority in what appears to be a gross misuse of power. Meanwhile, actress Mejabin was forced to withdraw from a showroom launch event due to growing concern about her safety. These are not isolated events, I would say. They are part of a disturbing pattern of intimidation and suppression. Then I would like to mention here about Lalon and Rabindranath as well. It's not just individuals. Lalon and Rabindranath, they're not just individual like person. They're our icons. They are kind of supreme people who had a very, very large contribution to our culture and our literature. But the culture itself that is under siege now. The Lalon festival, an annual celebration of spirituality and music, was abruptly called off after objection raised by this extremist group, Hifazat Islam, who held the rally yesterday. Even more tragically, a mural of Rabindranath Tagore in Kustia was defaced, a shameful attack on the legacy of one of the greatest minds in South Asian history. This is not just called vandalism, it is an assault on identity and heritage. And I would like to add here Rabindranath Tagore is the person who is the writer of our national anthem, and he was also a Nobel laureate. And next, we have recently seen what began an intimidation has now escalated into arrest under false murder allegations. The idea that prominent artists, pillars of our culture concerns, are being treated as criminals without due process is both deeply unjust and gravely alarming. We must ask, what kind of nation are we becoming, where truth is silenced and creativity is shackled by fear? So here you can see how many artists or cultural activists are being threatened, being accused with politically motivated cases, and very surprisingly, they are being accused of murder cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rahman. This is outrageous. I mean, someone like Shuburna Mustafa, Iresh Jakir, or Meher Afroz Shaun, or Chanchal Chaudhary. I mean, these people, they are the most respected, celebrated icons in the country. And for decades, we have been blessed to have their performances, to enjoy their performances. And the biggest worry here is that they're all secular. They all believe in progressive liberal values. And that's why they are now, I mean, that's what we can say, that their main accusation, or that's why they have fallen a victim to these fundamentalist and radical forces. And it reminds us about what Dr. Jamil mentioned about 1971's genocide, when progressive intellectuals and cultural activists were massacred by the occupying Pakistani army. So do we see a relevance here, Mr. Alam?
Yes, just a few moments ago, I have mentioned about the participation of people from many different corners in July protest. So people who are attacked here, some of them are one of those people. They were motivated by the disinformation and they came on the street. Iresh Shakir was one of them. He actually one of the people who moved the entire industry. And when he moved the industry, the people from all across Bangladesh, they came together. That the information war, we Awami League, we lost it. Okay, we have to accept it. At that moment, when our cultural activists they made a stand, we lost the information war. We lost we lost it. We have to accept it. We have to accept today that Iresh Jacket, that person, he is accused of murder, fabricated murder charge, along with Mamunur Rashid, who is actually one of our living legends in our theater. Shubhana Mustafa, another living legend. Shubhana Mustafa's fault, she was a parliamentary member of Bangladesh Awami League. Why Bangladesh Awami League made Shubhana Mustafa a parliamentarian? She was not in direct politics. Awami League made her a parliament member as a recognition of her service to this country in the field of culture. So these are the people, our icons, are attacked by Muhammad Yunus regime. And in 1971, we also have seen the same.
In the same similar vein.
Because Bengali culture, we are very much musical, we are mystic.
May I just add, Shubhana Mustafa's father was an active participant in the liberation war, and he was also a target of the then Pakistani regime, and he had to flee to India to organize cultural activists which inspired our liberation war.
To be honest, okay, these people are target because our cultural workers in the Bangladeshi culture, in the Bangladeshi tradition, they have a large sway over people. They can move people. We have seen it. Okay, when we speak about 1971, we talk about Altaf Mahmud. Okay, if I ask you that after Father of the Nation and our 4 national leaders, okay, who would you say has more contribution to the emergence of Bangladeshi identity? We're gonna say Altaf Mahmud for his songs. We're gonna say Abdul Jabbar. We're gonna say Apple Mahmud. Because our people, Johir Rayhan, because our cultural people, we are very much influenced by them. And this is why they are running a regime of evil. And our cultural people, they can lead us anytime. Our journalists, they can lead us anytime. So we are seeing these fabricated cases against journalists, against our scholars, against our cultural people, and against the lawyers.
Thanks, Mr. Rahman. Yeah. Now, there may be, we have seen few advisors saying that, for argument's sake, they are saying their narrative is that the government is not involved in these sort of dubious cases. Right. So 2 points here. First is that the government is saying that they are not behind these cases and they are apparently discouraging it. One. And second is that for Siddiqur Rahman, when he was taken to the police station after beaten up by a mob, instead of taking those mobs into custody, apparently the law and enforcement agencies asked for 8 days remand. So there you see that the contradiction of the government's position is laid bare, that the government is directly or indirectly encouraging mob violence and discrediting these artists by aligning them, by attributing them so-called fascist allies. What do you think, Mr.?
Also, there is another view here. That is, if the government saying we have nothing to do here, but it is happening and we cannot protect our legends, our icons, that means this is the most incompetent government in the history of the world. What's the point of government if you cannot protect your people from the thugs?
Yeah.
What is the point of having a government?
Mr. Rahman, would you like to?
We have seen the BNP government before. We have seen our Awami League government for 15 years. Can you name one incident that it happened? Because we had a government, now we do not have one. Okay, what we have is some people are occupying the government seats. Yeah. They have no legitimacy. It proves it.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Rahman. Thanks, Mr. Alam. Yeah, at the same time, incompetent, and also we are deeply doubtful about their intent. And we are also seeing that there is a direct or indirect sort of alignment with fundamentalist groups, political parties. You mentioned about Hefajat Islam, and we saw yesterday the particular gathering that Mr. Rahman mentioned earlier. Hasnat Abdullah, one of the student leaders, behind the July-August movement was present in that particular gathering, where there were extremely offensive, which the civilized world cannot even fathom, right? That those sort of comments were made in that gathering, and Mr. Abdullah has been part of the panel there. Mr. Rahman, would you like to elaborate on that? And then I'll come to Dr. Jamil here.
Yeah, definitely. What saying they're not behind all those things, or they're not kind of involved in all those things, but what are they doing to stop those? We need to question, what are they doing? Haven't we seen like the terrorists and the extremists were released from the jail without any without following any right procedure? Haven't we seen the arrest warrants being issued for them? Did they try, or did they take action to stop them? Did the government of violence? No, they haven't done anything. We have seen in 2022, which was last
I believe, sorry, Dr.
1970.
Rahman, I think your connection is a bit unstable. Sorry about that. Maybe we'll come back to you, Dr. Jamil, if you could continue, and then we'll come back to Mr. Rahman in a few minutes. Thanks.
If I can add to what Dr. Day and Mr. Rahman was actually sharing just now, these are the people who are followers of what has been pre-1971 Bangladesh. We have to keep in mind. Let me give you one simple example. And this is from a Pakistani brigadier, Mr. Siddiq Salik, who was the top PR personnel in 1971 of the Pakistani occupation forces. So after the war, the surrender of Pakistan, when he went back to Pakistan, he wrote a famous book, and in his own language, Urdu. It was called Maine Dhaka Dubte Hue Dekha Hai. So it was later translated into English called Witness to Surrender. And according to Brigadier Salik, General A.K. Niazi, who is also the uncle of Imran Khan Niazi, although he chooses not to use his last name often, the famous cricketer, he said, General A.K. Niazi, to the then chief of army in Pakistan, when are you going to hand over the female prisoners from Bangladesh? Think of the implication and the consequence of that. The first thing General Niazi said, when are you going to hand over the female prisoners of war to me? These are the people, the one that are protesting in Bangladesh about against women's rights and women's equity and women's fairness. These are the same people who are followers of people like General Niazi and Pakistan. So we cannot simply dissociate these two principles. Again, coming back to the same thing I'm trying to hammer again and again. All of these are plans to pit everything against Islam and Muslims, and by association Pakistan, so that Bangladesh can be changed into something else. We are People's Republic of Bangladesh. We are not an Islamic Republic of Bangladesh, right?
Thanks.
They're just playing.
That's very poignant.
They're just
Very
playing
poignant.
with the Islamic.
Yeah. Mr. Alam, please go ahead.
What we are seeing is, as I mentioned before, I believe, okay, we are short in time, that those Islamists are empowered by some people who are not really Islamists. They're clever people, but they have a very bad agenda. And to hang on onto the power, they're using the Islamists, and Islamists are feeling the empowerment, the first time in history of Bangladesh, they're in power. And the cultural persecution, what we are seeing this now, vandalism of sculptures, resisting people from singing, from going to the theater, actresses, the women actor, female actor, they cannot do their job. They cannot go to inauguration ceremony of a shop. because of the Islamists stopping them, the fundamentalists, the empowered one, is something, a telltale sign of terrorism.
It's actually not only the artist or activist. Basically, what we have seen yesterday, a female journalist was not allowed to attend a press conference of in Barishal of a political party who were it's Charmonai who held a press conference, and the only female journalist attended there to cover the news was kind of had to leave the press conference. She couldn't cover, and I have seen her interview. She was literally crying, and she was saying it's an attack on women, and also it's an attack on the journalist as well.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Rahman. We have got just 5 minutes left. I'm conscious about the time. So I will just come to all of you briefly in 30 to 40 seconds. If you could say where do we go from here? Every time when there was attack on our culture, we resisted. It started from 1952 onwards. This is our very protected, very sensitive, very emotional space. We are deeply connected with our culture, and they are trying to destroy and hammer and desecrate that. So how do you think that our cultural activists, our literary people, our scholars would respond and should respond? May I start with Mr. Rahman first, then Mr. Alam, and then Mr. Dr. Jamil? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank everyone who watched our show today, and the host and our other people who are who have joined today. Basically, what I have to say, we must stand united against this tide of extremism. We must demand justice for the artists wrongfully accused. We must restore our cultural spaces and protect those who dare to imagine a better space, a better and freer future. In honoring our artists, we defend not just culture but courage, and in speaking out, we refuse to let darkness silence our light. Thank you very much.
If we look back into our recent history, our past from 1971, that Bengali people, we act unanimously together. We are peaceful, but our tolerance has a limit. And when someone crosses that limit, when we see our culture is at risk, our people are at risk, the history knows what we do. So if I know Muhammad Yunus and his associates have lots of friends outside Bangladesh, people who actually good people, humanitarian people. And if any of them are listening, that makes some sense to your friend. Because when we rise up, Bangladesh will rise up, and when Bangladesh rises up, it becomes devastating. And we will rise up. We will not tolerate it very long. That's our tradition. What's
Dr.
happening
Jamil.
in Bangladesh right now is telltale terrorism. You destroy sculpture, you destroy music, you stop theaters, you burn down museums. That's terrorism. You have seen it in recent past, in recent years in Afghanistan and in Syria. It's
Thanks.
happening in Bangladesh.
Thanks, Mr. Alam. We just have got a couple of minutes left. Dr. Jamil, please.
Very quickly, my request to all of us in Bangladesh, living inside Bangladesh and abroad, we have to realize that change will not come from outside. A foreign power or foreign agency will not come and do anything for us. They will have their own gains. So my request to all the people of Bangladesh, specifically the students who have been fooled by these terrorists, is to know that be against corruption, be against injustice, but that does not mean you forget your pride. We forget our history. Look at the signs and then stand up for it. As one of my most respected person, historian, says as part of his signature, ফিরে দেখুন একাত্তর, ঘুরে দাঁড়াক বাংলাদেশ. And that's what we all need to do. We need to look back to our history and our pride and see how we can stand up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panel members. Dear all, thanks for being patient, for patiently following us for the last 1 hour. By now, you have realized that we are a peaceful nation. We have got long history of cultural heritage. We call our mother tongue, our country, mother. We have got deep respect for women, and men and women together have built this nation, have built the rich tapestry of our literature, songs, festivals. We have different religions here, but we do not believe in religious extremism. We believe in sharing space. We believe in sharing religious festivals. Bangladesh is a place where you have got 21st February, we have got Pohela Boishak, we have got 16 December, we have got Pohela Falgun. We have got so many days that we celebrate collectively together. We cannot allow this nation to drift away. This is now or never. May I request everyone to stay vigilant and make sure that whatever we have achieved over the 1,000 years, we do not let them go. We cannot afford to lose them. Thank you very much. I'm signing off. Stay alert, stay informed, stay connected. Goodbye. Thank you.